Hello. Hello, my beautiful peoples on the YT. I'm Bedhead Betty. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover the case of Nancy Guthrie. We're in office 2, and it's been a long time since we've been in office 2, and you're probably wondering why. It's because I decided to tear down the new computer, or not the new computer, the MacBook computer, and reboot it and take off all the hardware and reset the whole thing. And so it's been quite the ordeal with OBS and resetting OBS up and all the other good stuff going on. So I figured if we were going to have an evening conversation, this was how it was going to be. Hi guys, I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime. We are covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and I am from Office 2. You see the beautiful pillows. I'm in Office 2, and our beautiful Delilah is sitting right next to me. I've had a very, very hectic day, as you can imagine, tearing everything down and building it all back up. It's because the stuff that was on there previously, I removed a lot of the extensions, plugins, and other things, and it just gunked up the system, and it just wouldn't release. So long story short, okay, so now you guys know why I am deciding to do our live this way instead of with the background and being able to show you a lot of different things. We will do that in the morning, I promise you. It looks good. I'm streamlining everything. We're going to have a good production tomorrow for everything. Okay, so Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old grandmother, disappeared from her home, ripped out of her bed, according to law enforcement. Pushed out of the home. There's blood droplets on the outside of the front door, the front stoop. It looks like it does go a little ways down the walkway. We're trying to decide how in the world all those blood drops can be there, but not footprints. And so many people have described this possibly being her being put over somebody's shoulder and walking and dripping blood down as they're walking forward as being a potential perspective. We've had a lot of people write into the show, tell us their perspective. We are going to do a We've Got Mail show specifically to go through all of these assessments with people. I know some people's statements and assessments have changed, but it'll be great to look at what we were looking at and where we are now. So I still think it'll be very productive to go through. So anyways, getting back to the show, we have an 84-year-old woman that appears to have been abducted from her home, a beautiful home, a $1 million home in a quiet desert area of the Catalina foothills. It's an area that has very limited things go wrong in their community. But, actually, that's not true either. This case, I think, has uncovered the things people don't want to acknowledge that go on, the bumps that go on in the night, I think this has really has been an eye-opener to a lot of people in that community, and I have to imagine that it's pretty scary because you have a lot of creeping going on in this darkness. We've seen it. It's been plagued all over our TV and social media as we're breaking all of this down and looking at all these different things, and people are turning in cameras. And guys, it's got to be freaking scary to see this many people creeping around at night, and they're different people. It's just scary. And trust me, I have to believe, listen, this is where my common sense starts kicking in and really, fluffs the feathers, you know what I'm saying? And it's the fact that if this is going on there, it's going on everywhere, okay? This kind of stuff is going on everywhere. That's the creepy shit about it. So, it's very, very sad what we're dealing with here in Tucson, Arizona, in the Catalina foothills, and what we perceive as a safe location to live. And to have an elderly woman ripped from her bed, ripped from her home in the middle of the night by a masked intruder that had a weapon. I can't even describe the terror that must have been. And it's sad. We don't know a lot. Law enforcement is not providing any statements to the public. It seems like they are providing some statements through certain journalists or certain news outlets. The sheriff is, and he is talking to the public, but he's picking and choosing who he speaks to. He's not doing an actual press conference. He's meeting one-on-one and doing the softball questions, and probably not meeting with those people if he didn't like the way they reported. And this is where it comes down to having those connections in that community. I say social media really doesn't care about, because, you know, we go in these communities, we're probably never coming back to these communities after, or at least we hope, you know, at least we hope we don't have to come back to the community. But if they have multiple high profile cases, well, you know, we have to look at why and start figuring out what needs to be done in that community. Hi, Michael, it's nice to see you. If you go by the letters TMZ has been reading, do you think this could be a Mexican? No, I think TMZ, I think it's the only person that's giving them, like, all the statements that were sent to the local news organizations. They didn't talk about them. They kept them close to the chest and immediately turned them over to law enforcement. It wasn't until TMZ brought theirs to the public that, you know, even the other local media even discussed their thoughts of the letter. Other than that, they wouldn't have. And in my opinion, I feel like TMZ is the only one that's willing to read these. So any crackpot is sending them stuff. I don't trust it. I mean, of all people, TMZ, if it was truly a person that's sending a ransom note that we would take seriously, in my opinion, it'd be going to the family, or it'd be going to the Today Show. Who gives a flippin' bleep about some TMZ? Give me a break. TMZ is a freaking joke. It's like the National Enquirer, okay? I don't, you know, I mean, Harvey Levin is an attorney. I don't want to say anything, you know, I don't know him personally, but I don't like their content. I will be honest with you. I'm not a fan of TMZ. I've sold things to TMZ before, but I'm just not a fan. I don't know what else to say. I'm just not a fan. Turkey Man, it's nice to see you. The Real Me Too and everybody else. Oven Baby. Oh, that's what reminding me. That's what I came on here to tell you guys. We ran a whole entire show. Not only did we run a show on the YT, we ran a show on the TikTok as well, folks. And I forgot out of all day to say Happy Valentine's. And I'm so sorry. I'm so rude, because I've been working so incredibly much that I'm sorry. There are just pieces of me that don't, that forget, you know, and it's just me, you know, it's just me and Delilah. So I am so sorry. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Even my mommy called me to wish me a happy Valentine's Day. So if you guys are hanging out and stuff, I mean, pray. If you guys are prayers, pray for this Guthrie family. You know, everybody's supporting the Valentine's Day and, you know, stuff like that. But there are a lot of people out there that can't celebrate, you know, because they're missing. So as you guys tell, not to put it like it'd be the Debbie Downer of Valentine's Day, but just at least pray for somebody else when you have your nice, happy, you know, loving dinner with your significant other. Please remember all of us out here enjoying in spirit. I'm just saying. What time is it? Oh, it's 8 o'clock and I'm already in bed. Oh, good gracious. What's wrong with me? Happy Singles Day for people like me. There you go, Samuel. There you go. Happy Valentine's Day. So it was nice to see Popcorn Planet Andy out there, you know, just kind of getting a lay of the land. It's interesting seeing all the Florida boys out there, you know, and in a few weeks, if everything's still going the way it's going, we're going to be out there. So I think Florida is well represented in other states. I mean, we got a lot of Florida people in Arizona right now, significant others. What the hell is that? Well, you know, it is 2025. partners, lovers, husbands, wives, things. Anyways, let's get back to the show. So what's going on? What's new? Nothing. We've got nothing. More convoluted, information, more I don't knows, more it doesn't seem like law enforcement is getting anywhere, but God bless their heart. I mean, they're giving it their all. There's no doubt about that, in my opinion. None of the above. Oh, good gracious. Yeah, none of the above. Yeah. Well, say la vie, say la vie. The day's almost over anyways. We all survived Valentine's Day, and I didn't get sick on candy. But that's because I paced myself, I mean, Betty fan got it here a few days in advance, so I had a few days to work on it. So just to put it in, she keeps me fat and happy. This case is so crazy. It is, Brian. This case is probably, I mean, I've covered personally a lot of crazy cases. I've covered Gabby Petito out there with the bullhorn. That's how I became Bullhorn Betty. I covered Summer Wells, which was a crazy circus. I got arrested for the Sebastian Rogers case, and I didn't even do anything illegal. So there's that. And still fighting in the court to this day over lies on an affidavit, which will end up turning around and biting these people in the butt. But I digress, I mean, we really go all out, but nothing, even with all of that, even painting that crazy ass picture, nothing, in my opinion, is as crazy as what I have watched online here, out there. And it's not even the media circus. Quite frankly, I'm used to it. I mean, I've been part of Alec Murdaugh, Idaho 4, Gabby Petito, again, all very, very much media circus cases. So having a lot of media, having it going in and out, having all this food delivered, just sitting there and waiting, trying to move around, trying to find content. Quite frankly, when you're out there, you get accustomed to that kind of environment. It's not a big deal, but this is beyond just media circus. This is weird. This is, crime scene tape going up, coming down, going up, coming down, going up. Like, is this a crime scene anymore, or has it been released? And if it has been released, why in the hell is the sheriff's department out there? That's not their responsibility to sit on that house. If it is now turned back over to the family, then the family needs to be paying for security at that house. If it is still a crime scene, that is really the only reason why the county sheriff should be there. So I'm hearing it's not a crime scene, because if it was a crime scene, I don't see how they would be able to allow the pool cleaners to go back there and clean the pool. So I'm very confused about a lot of all of this. I'm very confused about where we're going next with this case, because it seems like they've kicked down a lot of freaking doors pretty aggressively for a whole lot of nothing. Now, I mean, I'm all about shaking trees and rattling stuff, but this seems to be pretty embarrassing. You got crime scene tape going down, coming up, going down, coming up. You've got people all over the place. You've got doors being kicked in and people being released almost immediately. It's like, what are we doing here? I'm almost thinking, like, if you don't think that these people are the person, then why don't you go in there with some satin gloves? And tell them, hey, we're here. We were brought here because, I mean, we've seen a lot of investigations before. I've never seen none that was this aggressive. I mean, we've seen, like, they kicked in the freaking front door of Brian Koberger's. I mean, they had people coming down from a helicopter, for the love of everything holy, right? So, I mean, but they were going to get their guy. They had DNA confirmation on him. They knew that this was the guy. They were going in there to get Brian Koberger. And so, when we hear that they're stopping people and kicking in doors and doing this and doing that, you're thinking, okay, this is it. This is it. But I think their operations are too aggressive for the level that they're at. I mean, if these were real legitimate prospects for being the suspect, then I would say, yeah, this is the level we need to come at, because you want to rattle their tree and you want to bring them onto your turf as quickly as possible and let them know who's in charge, right? So that I understand. But if I'm piecing stuff together, I've been hearing a lot that these folks here that were in that SUV, it's my understanding. Now, I might have this completely wrong, so do your own research on it, because I don't know this. But I heard people in the chat, they said something to the effect of, this house was being rented as like an Airbnb. I heard multiple people tell me that, and I'm not sure if that is the case, if there are if this is an Airbnb. But how crazy would that be, that people come down to visit and are swept up in this? And then it brings me to another point. If there's Airbnbs in that community, how do we know somebody, hey, Freeside, how do we know that somebody hasn't rented that place, done this, and left the area? Because it's my understanding, and it would make sense, that somebody in that community has done this. Oh, thanks, sweet Jen. I appreciate that. I mean, that would explain a lot. And then they tell us about a gray pickup truck, yet they pull over a gray Range Rover. So I'm all types of confused. And I don't really know how the public can help the sheriff, because the sheriff's not clearly, in my opinion, defining how we, the public, can help. I mean, he's got literally millions of eyes fixated on this case, and maybe some encouragement, maybe at this point some results, something. I feel like this has started crazy. This has become even a bigger circus, and I'm not talking about a media circus. I'm talking about an investigative circus. That you've never heard me use that definition or that terminology before, but for the first time, we're using it here on the Bullhorn Betty Show. We've got ourselves an investigative circus here, because we're told something, then it's immediately changed, then it's immediately removed. It's constant. It's exhausting. Yeah, it's exhausting. Because we don't know, we're so confused, because we're told this for weeks, then it's changed to this, then it's back to this, then it's this, then it's that. There's no cohesive message. There's no press conference to help, guide us. And I know why, because the sheriff sucks. Okay? I mean, nice guy. What I mean by sucks is he doesn't know how to deal with the public. He doesn't know how to speak and keep things really, he can't be under pressure and think at the same time. And that's his problem. So whenever he's got a lot of things flying at him, he leaks stuff that he's not supposed to leak. So the only way to keep those leaks from happening is to keep him away from the microphone. The sheriff, the one person that we should have speaking in the microphone. But then again, it comes back to I do know that they have a PIO, a public information officer, and that public information officer should be the one taking the podium. They're the ones that are the professionals. They're the ones that know how to articulate the statements. They're the ones that know how to stay scripted and stay on script. So if you have a sheriff that can't, the next best thing is starting to put that PIO up there to kind of clarify things, because I think if they could clear some people or just get some distractions off, like say the family, I think that a lot of people, we've got a lot of people that still believe that the family is involved, and I understand why. We don't know who did this. But there's still a lot of people that do not believe the family is involved. And I really think it would go a long way if law enforcement knows for sure that the family's not involved, to come out and let the folks know that the family's not involved, so people can move on and we can start getting our resources back together and everybody back on the same path so we can really do some work here. But that's where we're at. This case, literally, it doesn't make sense. It completely defies logic, which is one of the reasons why we're all tuning in. You know, we all want to know who done it, because this is a classic who done it. And the longer this goes on, the more I keep thinking it had to have been somebody, because this is the fact. People that it's so much easier to solve cases when people are known to one another. And I think that this is what we're going to find out, is this truly is a stranger danger type of, whether it was hired, I don't want people jumping all over my stuff. It doesn't really matter about the reason for it. But the problem is if it truly is somebody that's unknown to them, those are the hardest cases to crack. So if this was a robbery, or if these people did happen to tune in and see Savannah talking about TUCSON, and they decided to go out here and try to get try to abduct this lady for money or ransom or whatever the case may be, then I feel like those are going to be the hardest things. The only thing that's not going to be hard is if they planned it online or they had communication or whatever the case may be with that, because the communication might be dragged out. But Betty, it looked to me that this case, you are reporting more from home base than you would be able to report from Arizona. What would you do if you were in Arizona? So the one thing that I do when I'm in Arizona that I can't do now is search. Because if the way I do it is you look at the people closest. So, for example, many people believe it's Tommaso and Annie, or they have something to do with it, or whatever the case may be. Well, it's always been my philosophy that criminals, people, humans, they act in a comfort zone. So if, for example, somebody that they love, they're going to be somewhere they've been before. They're never going to take the subject or the victim to a location or like a location they've never been to before. It's I shouldn't say they don't. It's very few and far between that they do. It's almost an outlier that they do. For example, Ashley Buzzard did take her daughter, just drove around until she found a place she felt comfortable that was off the beaten path. And that was a strange one. That was the first one that I personally have known about, where they've taken them. They went to a place that they've never been before to carry out such a gruesome act. But typically that's not the case. People, when they are discarding or what I call the oh shit factor, excuse my language, but it's when you get into an altercation or a fight or something and it goes too far and you kill somebody as a result of it. Well, you have this oh shit factor. Oh shit, what do I do? That's what I call the oh shit factor. And typically in that time frame, you're usually calling somebody very close to you, your best friend, your mommy, your daddy, your cousin, your sister, and I've done something terrible. But the predominant thing is even if they don't do that, they have to dispose of that person, and they usually dispose of that person in a place that they've been before. So by identifying who we think the person could be by looking into their history, you can find their areas of comfort and then start going in there and start hitting, like if they're drinkers, start finding the bar that maybe they went to, or maybe going to a neighborhood that they grew up in and finding maybe somebody that still lives in that neighborhood from 20 or 30 years ago and getting a beat on the pulse there. Those are the things that I can't do here in Florida that I can do out there in Arizona. It's not just about reporting, but we get more involved in our cases than just that. We haven't been able to do that in almost 2 years because of the situation out in Tennessee. But That's where I would go with that. It feels like it's turned into a game of Clue. It has. Oh my gosh. That is a perfect, I think probably the one of the most, yes, you were right. I think you've hit the nail on the head. It feels like it's turned into a game of Clue. Yes, it has. And it's just when I see big loud presence of law enforcement and like SWAT teams and stuff like that executing search warrants, typically, they go and knock on the door and just say, hey, tell them who they are, why they're there, explain that they have a search warrant and that they need to come in and search for this. It's not really, typically you don't see that elevated security without that elevated threat. And so far, out of all the people that they've picked up, just to me, don't at least for me, don't appear to have that elevated threat to them where they need the whole, flashbang, big SWAT truck, big production type thing. Like, these are low level people. Like, I would think that maybe just knocking on the door, acting like you're canvassing the neighborhood, getting a beat of the pulse and saying, hey, I'm officer so and so, we've been covering this Nancy Guthrie case. Are you familiar with the case? And we're like, yeah. Well, your name came up in the investigation. We've seen a lot of this stuff. I don't understand why we've had these huge, major, takedowns and they not be the takedown. It's problematic for me. It's problematic at the very least. So anyways, guys, I wanted to come here. There's nothing going on. I don't really have anything probative to go over. Tomorrow morning we'll have more probative stuff to go over. There's going to be just a slight fixing and adjusting of our live stream tomorrow morning in real time because, again, I deleted everything. I took OBS completely off. So everything that we've built for the last several months on OBS, I've completely removed off the system. And so I had to reinstall OBS and then rebuild the show. And I'm not rebuilding the show the way it was rebuilt before. And so if we're missing something, we're going to have to build it right then and there while we're live. Sometimes I wonder if this isn't all a plot to get eyes. There's been a lot of people that have had that. Hey, Brown Chicken, it's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well. There's a few people that have said that. Some people have couched it like they thought it was because of the Epstein files for being involved in it. And then when you kind of look at her involvement, you realize it's very, very minor in the grand scheme of things, right? But you pitching it that way to, as a distraction for the Epstein files. Yeah, but this doesn't feel like a distraction to me. This feels pretty stinking real to me, and I don't know. My heart just bleeds for this 84-year-old woman. I mean, I don't have to know her to feel just totally horrible for what she's went through. It's awful. It's awful. Do you think they have already had to release the ones that are responsible? Well, yeah, that could be a possibility, Turkey Man, because they could have been swabbing, collecting them to run DNA. But they're, with the investigative genetic genealogy testing, they've been doing just huge, leaps and bounds in that technology. And that's something that the FBI can assist them in and give them a lead or a tip or whatever the case may be. So, like I feel like they don't need to be kicking in doors like they're kicking in doors, but it is possible that they did what they did because they believe they're the suspect and wanted to get their DNA for testing, and maybe they haven't gotten the results back, or they have gotten the results back. It usually takes 24 to 36 hours to get conclusive results back of DNA, typically. When you have an expedited process, sometimes it takes up to 2 weeks, sometimes 2 years, depending on what lab you're using, if it's a state lab, blah 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 blah. I'm sure you guys are familiar with hearing that stuff, but they should have results back fairly quickly, in my opinion. If it's one of the people that they picked up over the last several days, then I think that they should have the results back by today or tomorrow to go pick them up. And because I mean, they went and collected Brian's sample or the garbage, and they flew it back to, if I remember, Salt Lake City, Utah, to the crime lab in Salt Lake City from Pennsylvania. And I could be wrong. It might have been the state crime lab of Idaho. It could have been the state crime lab, but for whatever reason, I thought they used the Utah FBI forensic lab, but I could be wrong. They got that back within 24 hours, and they ended up swatting Brian Koberger's house and dragging him out. And they loaded him up on a plane and sent him back to Idaho after his extradition hearing. And he's never been out of jail again. But again, they didn't go and swat his house without knowing it was him. So I just feel like it's that you don't. There's certain things you should do. I don't think you should ever make people fear law enforcement. And I feel like those tactics aren't. I feel like those tactics are appropriate in certain situations. But when you're just talking to people, I don't see why you would want to shut that mode of communication down when you could keep it open just by having conversations. You can still execute the search warrant. I mean, there's nothing preventing you from executing the search warrant. You just don't have to kick the door in. I'm just saying. But anyways, I don't really have a whole lot to go over. That was really it. We are working on building the studio back. I've got a new camera coming in. The new camera hopefully should be in the first week of March. No, it shouldn't be that long, should it? I have to look at that. That would suck because I just now said that, and I remember looking at it, and it's saying like March 7th. That's like freaking 3 weeks away. What the hell? I'm going to have to look at that. That shouldn't be right. I should be getting it in sooner than that. But anyways. All right, guys. Rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe. But more importantly, kind to one another. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. We'll be rocking and rolling first thing in the morning. And when I mean first thing, I mean first thing. We will be rolling out as soon as I'm up. Within the hour of being up and getting some coffee in me, we're going to be going live and talking about whatever's going on, because we got to start incorporating Sebastian Rogers into some of our conversations, because we're going to be out there on the 23rd through the 27th. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there, but I don't want you guys forgetting we have an event, and we all need to be out there raising our voice for this little boy that needs to come home. All right, guys, I'll see you soon.